We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
WROC AM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Hey there, a very good afternoon to you as we welcome you into the sports bar, Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us and listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950. The Fan Rochester in the free-to-download Odyssey, iHeartRadio, TuneIn apps, or on our YouTube or Twitch channel. Follow us at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe. You'll always know when we're going live here in the sports bar, our YouTube channel, The Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
We're going to do prop bets on the show here today. Like how many mistakes will I make?
Easy
how
now.
many inappropriate jokes will Danger make? How many angry calls will we get offline?
Easy now. Wow. We've got a lot to get to this afternoon. A bombshell of a story you were waking up to this morning. We've got Week 8 in the NFL getting underway. We'll talk some fantasy football. We'll talk some Buffalo Bills. We've got it all lined up for you here in the sports bar. Let's set the table for you here and let you know that Andy Behrens of the Deep Shot will be talking fantasy football as Week 8 gets underway tonight with the Vikings traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, essentially a home game for the Vikings. Andy Behrens will help set your Week 8 lineup.
Yeah, gosh, you think back to this time last week, you're like, oh, yeah, the Steelers and Bengals. Oh, we're going to go back in time, right? Well, are the Bengals actually someone you want to play, specifically the quarterback? I mean, they had 23 targets last week for Jamar Chase. That can't happen again. Could it? It's the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, plenty sit ones. And, if you haven't looked at your roster, well, shame on you, first of all. Second of all, it is the bye week, 6 teams sitting, so you might have some issues. We'll ask Andy Behrens if he has any last-second advice for us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour.
Later on this hour, we'll be joined for the first time in the sports bar by Rob Brown. You can hear him on the Rob Brown Show in the Odyssey app at 93.5. The Fan Upstate, our Odyssey Sports sister station. We check in on the state of the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, as I think we're kind of expecting it to be Andy Dalton. We're not buying into this will Bryce Young play, won't he play, but this running attack and the defense for Carolina, is that enough for them to pull off an upset of Buffalo? This is a Panther team that's much better than they were last year in terms of wins and losses. We will have our Panther update coming up at the bottom of this hour.
You can join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That number is 866-4FAN. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub at 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. And we should also let you know off the top here that tomorrow at this time we will be live.
Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack, Remedy, enjoying some great food, setting you up for a fun college football weekend, setting you up for Game 1 of the World Series tomorrow night as well. Yes, we will have a World Series preview tomorrow, so start your weekend early with us. Come on out to Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack, Remedy, the bar inside of there. All the monitors just kind of sitting around right in the middle of the action there, so just kind of love catching up with people when we head to that side of town.
All right, now, gaming and racetrack adjacent, let's talk about this. This story is seismic in terms of how the NBA deals with it, how we perceive it, what we've learned so far here from this FBI.
And when the FBI holds a press conference, and the thing about the FBI, their batting average is excellent. When they have a case and they're going to come forward, they're going to take their time. They're going to comb through everything. So when you read this allegation, imagine if there was a head coach in the NFL being arrested today. But Chauncey Billups, head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, arrested. Not anything for him necessarily. This is where there's so many details of this story. It's kind of crazy, but Chauncey Billups involved allegedly with the mob and poker games and everything else.
Rigged poker games.
Yes.
Rigged poker games. Billups was being used as a lure to attract names into these poker games where they were rigged. And the people that were getting lured in were losing all their money to the mob. And Billups was the face. Billups was the chum in the water that they would throw out there to lure in some of these bigger names to play in these celebrity poker matches. And with Rozier, it's the bet the under. My hammy is acting up. I don't know that I'm going to be able to play the whole game kind of thing. It's funny because this all comes down right as the NBA is starting their season, and you want goodwill and you want to turn the page and you want to think about what's ahead. I don't know if, when I think about this with the NBA, and certainly there have been gambling scandals in recent years across all of the leagues, but how the NBA has dealt with it feels different. It's either that the NBA doesn't know how to deal with it, or it's so prevalent that they can't keep up with how much of it is going on in the NBA. In the NFL, you have a player here, a player there who made a couple of wagers, and they disappear. They're suspended. Calvin Ridley is the first name that comes to mind. Suspended a year, goes away, and he's back in the league. And you'll always kind of think, oh, that was the guy that got popped for gambling and missed a year. What could have been with his career? But the NBA dismisses it quickly. In Major League Baseball, in recent months, you had the two pitchers in Cleveland who were allegedly throwing balls as their first pitch of the inning on these prop bets to hit these prop bets. They kind of disappeared quickly, too. You didn't really hear a lot of follow-up on those two pitchers in Cleveland. In fact, in Major League Baseball, we joke about this. Their biggest star was involved in a gambling scandal that was wrapped up neat and tidy over the course of days.
Lightning speed.
If you want to make something disappear, and you have the kind of power that the NFL, Major League Baseball, or the NBA has in terms of legal power, you can make something go away. You can change the narrative really, really quick. And, we're on the eve of Shohei Ohtani in another World Series, and many people will forget that he was ever involved in a gambling scandal because of how quickly they moved to eliminate that story from our minds.
Well, all these leagues are compromised. They are. They all take, whether that's on the individual team level or on a national level, and their TV partners do this, go somewhere and try to evade, in our state or any state where this is legal, an ad. You know all the companies. You know all the commercials. There was somebody who called in a Ryder show. It's like, yeah, it's a good point. Like, who's the biggest name in the NBA? To this day, it still is LeBron James. LeBron James. And you can't go and watch an NBA game without LeBron James cracking jokes with Kevin Hart.
Right.
And promoting whatever book that is.
The hypocrisy is amazing. Yeah. I mean, the ESPN waving their finger all morning long at this. Meanwhile, in the corner of the screen, you've got the ad for ESPN Bet. It's something that even the FBI, as they were dishing this out, making it very clear that if you gamble, what's the message we're trying to send? If you gamble legally, you have nothing to worry about. Gamble legally. These legalized sports wagering in your state, and these books exist, and it's entertainment and it's fun, and you can do that. But if you're doing it illegally, we're coming for you. And I thought that's funny because the FBI isn't going to talk about what gambling addiction can do to you because it's a big business. It's a massive business. And if you do get addicted, if you are somebody who's susceptible and you lose your family's wealth, you lose your entire paycheck, you lose and you lose and you lose, it's destructive and it can be real damaging. Now, I'm not going to speak out of both sides of my mouth. I enjoy it within reason, with moderation, like a lot of sports fans, I think, do. But you have to exercise a little bit of personal accountability and self-control. In the case of Chauncey Billups, I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Do you think he knew that he was being used as this lure, as this pawn? Or do you think he just got mixed up with the wrong guys? I mean,
you are responsible for the position you are in. If you are playing poker with known gangsters, like, get yourself out of that situation, because obviously something is going on. Underground poker games. We had this in Rochester, Danger. Like, we've had stories like this.
This was Vanek, right?
Right. This was Vanek, and we had the one more recently out in Penfield. We're like, okay, this is all still going on. I also think there's, like, they're talking about this go bet, legally. This is the FBI. Except part of this involves something that maybe somebody was betting legally. Nobody would ever bet on, prop bets when it comes to the NBA on, Frazier or this guy Terry Rozier. What are we still doing with prop bets? I'm being honest. Like, who gets a jolly off of, hey, Emmanuel Clase, best closer in baseball before he went away, Danger. You can say that by his 2024 statistics. Okay, is it going to be a strike or a ball? Oh, I bet a strike. He threw a ball. Oh, I lose. Do we really need that? Do we really need how many assists for the seventh guy?
I'll tell you why it's not going away. And even if you were a sports book and you said, you know what, we're not. There's no sports book magnanimous enough to say we're going to lose money by eliminating prop bets. There's a whole side industry dedicated to just prop bets in terms of legalized sports wagering. If you think about the underdogs and the prize picks, where you're not betting on the outcomes of games, you're only building parlays and betting on over-unders and prop bets in every sport. So, and last time I checked, those books are also investing heavily in sports products and leagues with advertising and marketing revenue coming in. So nobody is going to, I don't think any of it changes. I know that the easy thing to say would be just eliminate prop bets and you don't have to worry about anything, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think prop bets are going anywhere.
Well, I mean, you had politicians, and we could say it's grandstanding. I totally wouldn't understand this, but you had coming from Ohio saying we need to get rid of this. Okay, who's going to argue that? That's where it's got to come from, Danger. Like, you don't want lawmakers. You don't want Congress getting involved, right? You want to do this on your own. And I think, actually, this should be all the commissioners kind of getting together and acting as one. When Adam Silver, and the more I think about the NBA, when Adam Silver came in, like, wow, we got rid of John Sterling. Wow, this guy is great. He's awesome. I'm thinking, I'm not so sure about this guy. And you were mentioning the messaging, but he was asked earlier about this, not today, but they dug up the quote where he's sitting down at one of these conferences, and he claims that the NBA and other leagues don't have a seat at the table when it comes to sports betting, which I would just say, and I can't say the word, it's bull. That is complete and utter bull. As long as you and your teams are taking money from this in the states where it's legal, you have every right to say, no, we're not going to take this until this happens. You have every right to say, if you don't take these off the boards, we, the Lakers and the Kings and the Warriors, the teams in California, we're going to go to our state and make sure it's off the board. It's funny, Danger, like...
But then these teams would lose revenue because the sports books will pull the money that they're spending with the teams. That's why I don't see it going away, because none of these guys are in this to lose money. The books aren't in it to lose money, and they don't. And the teams aren't in it to lose money. They don't. And if you go down that road of eliminating prop bets somebody is losing money, and nobody's going to lose money in this situation. Nobody's in this to lose money. So I get the spirit of prop bets, the prize picks, and the underdogs, and they're not losing money, and they're spending money with teams and with leagues. They're not going away either. So we could go round and round and round about what's right and what they should do. And bottom line is they're not going to lose money. The books aren't going to lose money. The teams aren't going to lose money. What changes? I don't know that anything changes.
All right, so then do you make these two examples? I'm sorry, Chauncey, you are going to jail, and we're just going to, you never let them back in. And maybe for everybody that says, it was really mean that you didn't let Pete Rose back in, maybe baseball was ahead of the curve on this danger. Like, we can't have another Pete Rose here.
I'll give baseball the most credit. I think baseball, for having their biggest star rolled up into a scandal about illegal gambling, for that to go away as quickly as it did was nothing short of remarkable from a messaging standpoint.
Well, as crazy as it sounds, 1989 when all that happened, Pete Rose was one of the biggest names. He was the hit king. He had everything. He was the manager of the Reds. The Reds, very next year would actually go to the World Series and win it with Lou Piniella. So, like maybe they kind of learned, from that. I think it's fascinating, and I would also say to any athlete or coach or anybody, you do understand these bookies, people in that business are way, way smarter than you.
Oh.
The example being, like another story. So somebody walks into a casino in Cincinnati, okay, off the beaten path. It's not Vegas. It's kind of, and they plunk down a bet on college baseball for 6 figures. Okay. You don't think that's going to go to whatever the version of the pit boss is there. They're going to be like, what on earth? Somebody's trying to get over on us. And as the story goes, well, in this, you think off the beaten path casino in Cincinnati, they have the technology to triangulate the cell phone you were using when you walked into the casino and determine the phone number and actually pick up the recording that you were talking to the Alabama coach who was giving you inside info saying, bet against our team today because the pitcher that was going out there is no good and we're really beat up at these positions. We are going to lose this game. That coach lost his job. I don't know if the person that tried to place the bet ended up in jail. But to that coach, to that person, to every player that thinks they're going to get away with this, the only thing the qualifier I could get is you should be able not to get to any coach, any athlete. But can the mob get to a family member? Can they get to somebody that really, really needs this? And
well, now
look, if
you sound like a movie right now, Gino. Does that really happen in real life?
I
with
don't
the mob,
know.
The mob really threatening families.
Choose a will.
I thought to myself the other day, I saw a story about China wanting to go to the moon. And I thought, well, why haven't we gone to the moon books or working for a casino or working for a team and, the math and the software and everything that gets developed by these smartest people on the planet are being used to make sure the lines are right, the books are winning, and we are on the losing end of the majority of our bets. I can't shed that thought.
Why don't we have aliens from our planet, meaning billionaires? Like, didn't we have that thing with the celebrities going up in space? I thought we would have had tourism to the moon by this point, but apparently there's no money to be made in it.
Yeah. Well, that is an unbelievable bombshell of a story from this morning that will continue to follow here. And
the thing that sucks, I like Chauncey Billups as a player. Like, when he was out there leading Detroit, I'm like, that's a scrappy team. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And you just threw away your legacy, buddy. And maybe he has a serious problem. Obviously, he has a problem if he's in that situation.
Well, the thing I want to keep tabs on is because the NBA is kind of sloppy with how they handle it. Is it because they don't know how to handle the messaging the way baseball and the NFL have handled it, or is it just so widespread in the NBA? I'm of the belief that it's probably more widespread than anybody even knows or can comprehend in the NBA, and that this happens way more than we'll ever know.
Well, I don't know the answer for the NBA. But here's what I can tell you about the NFL. NFL security is a real thing, Danger. Like, they police their own. They are always investigating. Nothing surprises, I shouldn't say nothing, but something would be very, very rare to surprise the NFL. You and I both knew somebody that they were kind of keeping tabs on. The point being, does the NBA do this? Does the NBA invest those sorts of resources in their own security? Sure, they have their own security, but you know what kind of helps? If you're way out in front of things, that's how you prevent stories like this.
These stories, the thing that's crazy about today is that these stories have been out there for years. We've heard about Chauncey Billups and these poker kids. There's professional poker players that have talked about the Chauncey Billups. I mean, like, none of this is surprising. It's all out in the open. These guys talk about gambling on podcasts all the time.
Okay, so perfect case in point, right? I would say the NFL security, why didn't Bill Belichick get more interviews? And he didn't do anything criminal. Just might be a little creepy. There's other alternatives out there.
Got a child bride.
Like, NBA security, you just gave another contract. He's a head coach in this league.
Yes.
Head coach.
Right.
And you just gave him another contract.
And you've got professional poker players going on podcasts and sharing content about how they play in these games with Chauncey Billups, and they feel like they've been rigged. Those clips are out there today.
So how does NBA security not know about this? Or is there such a thing as NBA security?
Yeah. Well, they got to get their arms around it here. And I don't know what the messaging is or what the punishment is. I mean, the punishment for the guys arrested today is a good start. Obviously, they're arrested, like they're dealing with in criminal behavior. But for the guys that might be still doing this in the league, and I venture to guess that there's plenty of players in the NBA that are engaging in this type of behavior. How do they crack down? How do they make an example of players? How do they make these stories disappear so that you and I can watch these sports that we love without fear that it's illegitimate?
Let's sneak in a call here before we get to our guest talking Panthers football. Steven Victor. Welcome, Steve. How are you?
Hey, bud.
Hey, so you're gonna drop the juice line and you're not even giving us the whole bit?
Oh, listen to this guy. All right.
Come on now.
We take requests.
I need Ross giving me the juice, baby.
We take requests in the sports bar.
Got it, Juice. When Chris and I broke up, the Juice was there for me every night. It's like he's not really the Juice anymore. We gotta get you dressed, Juice. Juice, a will? Juice. Come on, Juice. Juice! Juice, it's AC. Juice! AC's here! Juice, I heard Juice. It's on every channel. You know I feel the same, Juice. You're gonna tell them yourself, Juice. Juice, your whole family's here, Juice. She's on the house phone waiting to talk to you, Juice. Juice. Okay, Juice? Okay, Juice, we're good to go. You're home, Juice. You know Uncle Juice, and your Uncle Juice is a good man. He's never gonna stop being the Juice. It could explain a lot, Juice. Just hear him out, Juice. He's right, Juice. Listen, Juice. Juice, this is your life. Juice, please, Juice, we need an answer.
I mean, Steve, if you need to give me a reason to play every instance of David Schwimmer as Robert Kardashian in The People versus O.J. Simpson saying the word juice, I'll take the ball and I'll run with it.
You call me Juice.
I did.
You call me Juice.
Because I was quoting the Juice montage.
Right, I gotcha.
And I probably should have, but Steve, we take requests. And if you are bothered that much by me not following through, I'm a man of my word. I got to follow through. Every instance of David Schwimmer saying the word juice as Robert Kardashian in The People versus O.J. Simpson. Rob Brown is probably like listening in, being like, what the hell did I sign up for with these
Rob Brown
guys?
is probably like, okay, I'm kind of busy, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Rob Brown Show at 93.5 The Fan, upstate. We will check in with him next in the Carolina Panthers here on The Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country and get the inside scoop from experts. AUDACY. Odyssey.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying.
Sports Update.
Bills back at work today, including two guys, another practice getting in, coming off the 6-game suspension, Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi. Ogunjobi happy to be back.
Being able to get back out here, knock the rust off if there's any, and just, fly around and play. I think that's the most important thing, and, you kind of find the things that you want to fine tune. Obviously, there's nothing like football. You can run around all day, but, actually pushing on people, seeing the blocks, feeling the box, getting off blocks, I think that's the most important thing. So I'm excited that I was able to get back out here and play.
9 a.m. for our pregame coverage coming up. They're at Cleveland on Saturday. Gene Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
Pull a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader 90.
And looking at the Panthers through the lens of, they're the same old Panthers, but very quietly above 500 here through 7 games at 4-3. Why is this Panthers team a team that the Bills should not take lightly coming up here on Sunday?
Fellas, thanks for having me. Good to be here. The answer to that is the run game. The answer to that is Rico Dowdle. The answer to that is the fact that they've kind of developed a rhythm a little bit with the run game, right? This is Rico Dowdle, who showed up from Dallas, didn't really know where he was going to fit in. You knew the offensive line was going to be good, got a couple of injuries, still playing really well. We saw the development of Bryce Young, probably out, though we had an interesting development with him actually at practice yesterday with allegedly a ankle sprain. So that is a little confusing. But even if Bryce Young doesn't go or does go, it has been the last 3 weeks about the fact that this team has figured out how to run the ball, how to use those two guys in tandem. Rico Dowdle had 2 weeks in a row where he was well north of 200 all-purpose yards with that offense. They worked Chuba Hubbard back into it, so those numbers came down a little bit last week. But the big question for Carolina going into that game on the road at New York last week was, is Rico Dowdle now officially your number one? Is Chuba Hubbard going to get his job back? Is it kind of a tandem operation? They ran it in tandem last week, but it never really felt like they found a groove as far as who to use more often, less often, in what situation. Now Dave Canales has had a full week of practice last week, a full week of practice this week, a game to kind of break down the film on. And if Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard get comfortable in their role, if the Panthers get comfortable with the play calling with both of those guys in their role, this team can run the ball. And, when you're playing a quarterback as dynamic as Josh Allen is, the only way to beat a quarterback like that is to keep his ass on the bench. And the only way to do that is with a run game. So Carolina's going to lean very heavily on that.
So, I remember Rico Dowdle from watching him in Dallas, how all of a sudden are these numbers? And I remember seeing Chuba Hubbard, and we liked him. But all these numbers, is it the offensive line? Is it Canales? What are some of the reasons that these running backs all of a sudden are having the success?
Well, I think first and foremost, it is the offensive line. And again, they are missing some guys. Robert Hunt, one of the big guys that they brought down from Vegas a couple of years ago, top 5 guard, I think, in the league. This is a team that I think at the end of the year will have an offensive line that is looked at as one of the best 5 in the NFL. And they clicked. They had not clicked until 3 or 4 games in, but they clicked, and that started to show up. Rico Dowdle is a guy that has been slept on quite a bit. I mean, he was a very good running back for the University of South Carolina, was good with Dallas. The problem is he's just been hurt so much. He's popped his knee a couple of times. He's had an arm injury or two, and he's never really gotten the opportunity to be consistent because he has always been a feature back and has had so much asked of him. Well, he's not a feature back in Carolina, or at least he doesn't have to be with Chuba Hubbard. So now that they got some time to work Rico into the offense to work with Rico, he started to find that groove a little bit. And I think the third role at his speed at the NFL, Xavier Legette, a guy that was struggling out of the gate with confidence, struggling with the hands. Last week, 9 catches, almost 100 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He's broken out. When you have those two things working, now Hunter Renfrow, we know what he did in Vegas, kind of a find the sticks and sit down Julian Edelman style wide receiver. There was no the last couple of years of multiple positions, and all of those things working together have opened up the playbook for Dave Canales. He's been able to get a little bit deeper into the bag the last 3 weeks, and that has been a major impact on it, I believe.
Rob, I'm glad you talked about the wide receivers because I wanted to go there next with you. After watching the Bills, Drake London just had his way with the Bills secondary. He was running uncovered all over the field the last time we saw this Bills defense, and you brought up Ted McMillan and Xavier Legette. I think both of those guys have enormous upside in their careers. However, I don't know about their chemistry with Andy Dalton. I don't know about Andy Dalton, period. Tell me a little bit about what Dalton brings to the table here if we are to believe, and I believe that we are going to see Dalton on Sunday afternoon.
I believe you are going to see Dalton on Sunday afternoon. I mean, listen, I don't think that, especially with all we've seen with manipulating injury sheets in the past, Carolina's not going to say Bryce Young has a high ankle sprain and then roll him out there on Sunday and play him. They'll take some heat for that. So I do think you're going to get Andy Dalton, and that's kind of a mixed bag. I mean, remember last year, Bryce Young started the year, took a little while. Nothing was really clicking for Carolina. So Carolina benched Bryce Young. It was week 4 or 5 last year, if I recall correctly. They benched Bryce Young, and they turned to Andy Dalton. The offense was actually working for a little while there under Andy Dalton when he took over as the starter. He ended up getting into a car accident. The hand got messed up. They turned back to Bryce Young, and wouldn't you know it, Bryce Young comes back and he goes on a heater and keeps that job the remainder of the year. Andy Dalton is not going to blow you away, right? Like, he's not going to blow you away. He's not going to have big numbers. He's not going to make super electric plays. What Andy Dalton does, though, is he's smart with the football. He's efficient with the football. He executes with the football. He's not going to make a ton of mistakes. He's not going to leave a ball 10 yards short of an in route. He's not going to throw it too far outside of a guy and not see the safety coming down on the crossing pattern. That's not who he is. Like, he's going to throw the safe throw. He's going to throw it to the open guy, and he's going to throw it efficiently. Is it going to be electric? No. But if you let that happen too many times, if you are not playing solid, disciplined football, Andy Dalton will make all of the good enough throws enough times to let Carolina get up and down the field. And unlike last year, was good enough to win this game if the Buffalo defense is not on point.
We're talking to Rob Brown, fan upstate, previewing Bills in Carolina. Rob, I'm curious to get your thoughts here on Bryce Young, because Young comes out, first pick overall, coach gets fired, people saying that Carolina made the wrong choice. But get to this year, and it's I don't know if he's taken that next step forward. Now he's hurt. So where are we at? Where's the Panther Nation at right now when it comes to Bryce Young?
Yeah, I mean, listen, and that is, I think, the way that a lot of us feel. And I'll tell you the truth. I cover this guy on a regular basis, and I, to some degree, feel that way because you had the breakout in the second half of last year. You had the big flashy numbers. It felt like everything was going well. This year starts off not great. Now we're at a point where it feels like Bryce Young's kind of a 200 yards and a touchdown, 200 yards and a 2-touchdown kind of guy. But I also point out the same thing that we talked about with the receivers a minute ago. Last year, it was all about Adam Thielen. But what is Adam Thielen? Adam Thielen is he's not your star X wide receiver, right? He's a guy you want to have with Addison and Jefferson playing for the sticks. Carolina had to have that guy be the number 1 overall wide receiver for them, which is not that role. Now they've got a true number 1 in McMillan. Now they've got a number 2 in Leggett, assuming the confidence stays there, and they've got an Adam Thielen replacement in Hunter Renfrow. So all those things I talked about are in play. But I think the other aspect of this is they don't want to create a world where Bryce Young has to be the guy. There was a lot of concern about the start to the career. I'm a big believer in the philosophy that sometimes we take the term franchise quarterback and we put all the weight on quarterback and not enough on franchise, right? And I think you can look around the league at guys like Baker Mayfield, guys like Sam Darnold, and see plenty of quarterbacks that maybe they were just with bad franchises when they got their start, and they got saddled with a bad owner, a bad GM, a bad head coach, whatever. Well, Bryce Young's in that group. The Frank Reich experiment was a disaster. David Tepper was the most hands-on, but absolutely zero reason for being owner in sports. He had a bunch of yes-man running the program. So you had the Matt Rule hiring, toxic for that program. Then they go to Frank Reich, toxic for that program. Now they got Dave Canales that we think is the guy, but it's going to take some time. So I still think Bryce Young is going to be fine. I just think there is still a lot of we've got to figure out exactly what works best for and around him, and let's lean on the run game until we get there, which is effectively what this team is doing right now.
It's funny that you mentioned two guys that were both with the Carolina organization before they flourished with other organizations and resuscitated their career. Rob, I look at the defense.
That may have been a coincidence.
I look at the defense, and short of J.C. Horn, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really sure who any of these guys are, yet this defense is formidable, and you don't get to 4-3 by accident. Tell me a little bit about what Josh Allen and his teammates are going to be facing here on this 3-4D for Carolina.
Yeah, well, it's again, a lot of young guys, right? I'll start up front, and I'll say this, and I know that this is a take that I have had some guys laugh me off their radio station because of this take, and I've had other guys that go, I see it. Guys, Derek Brown is one of the best 3 defensive tackles in the NFL. And the problem is he's just been like last month. He was getting double teamed by the Jets last week, still came up with, I think, 2 sacks and like 9 or 10 hurries throughout the game. And what that has done for Carolina is allow them to use a couple of young edge rushers, 2 guys that they picked up in the draft, Nick Scourton out of Texas A linebacker. And I think that is the one thing on that side of the ball that I assume Buffalo is going to feast on. There is not a linebacker that is necessarily going to be able to match Josh Allen in terms of just athleticism if he starts making his way to the sidelines, if you start leaning on the design quarterback runs. You can beat the linebackers, but standing inside of the pocket is where Carolina is trying to disrupt. We want to get to the quarterback. We want to hurry him up. We want to make him go through his progressions faster than he likes, and then let's let those DBs feast, because there is J.C. Horn. You've got a set of defensive backs that they're ball hawks. They will make mistakes. They will leave holes in the coverage. They will occasionally get outrun in man-to-man if you get them on the outside. But they are ball hawks, and they are aware of where the ball is going to go. So to me, any team that plays Carolina, but especially Buffalo, it is going to be your offensive line that dictates the success of your offense against Carolina. Derek Brown, the 2 guys on the outside, the 2 rooks. Josie Jewell in the middle got cut down a couple of spots. There are some guys on this roster that can create a little pressure, disrupt the pocket, and make a quarterback move. If your offensive line is off, or if your quarterback struggles to throw the ball on the run, which I'm not worried about with Buffalo, obviously, so it really just is about your line. But if your O-line can keep the pressure off of Josh Allen by eliminating Carolina's biggest threat, which are those 3 names that I just said across the front 4, that's where you're going to really get an opportunity to put the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, Rob, a question off the beaten path here, because I'm just curious to get your thoughts on the owner, David Tepper, who, all right, he fires coaches. He throws drinks at fans. Is he someone who's going to get – we know he's a wealthy man here, but ultimately in this sport where development does take some time, does this guy have the patience to deliver Carolina a winner in the end?
Well, that is what Carolina fans are praying to the football gods about right now, because David Tepper is a guy whose entire legacy since he bought the team when Jerry Richardson was forced to sell it a handful of decades ago. The problem is he has always wanted to be hands-on, and this is where I start to have my fun. Billionaires are yes people. They're looking for yes people, and they are the smartest people in every room. Just ask them, right? Like, there has never been a billionaire that doesn't think that they're the smartest guy in the room, and that includes NFL owners. Now, most of them will at least get out of the way, but when you get one like a Jerry Jones, like a David Tepper, you're going to have them get hands-on. Well, Dave Tepper embarrassed himself for a couple of off seasons there, both because he and his old general manager, Scott Fitterer, who was the definition of a butt-kissing yes man, made a bunch of decisions that didn't work out. And since he was getting so frustrated like that, he was doing the things you were talking about. He was throwing drinks in fans' faces, and he was allowing his wife to hand plays written on a cocktail napkin to the head coach and make him practice those plays. I think last year we kind of hit a breaking point because David Tepper went into a bar in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is kind of known for being a blue-collar, everyman bar. I'd be lying to tell you I hadn't stumbled out of that bar or a time or two after watching the Panthers play, because sometimes that's the only way to have gotten through some of those games. It's kind of an everyman blue-collar Panther fan bar. He went in there, and he got into an altercation with the owner. They had a sign up criticizing the Panthers. I watched the tape, and I talked to some people at that bar. I think what that was David Tepper, noted billionaire hedge fund manager that has zero social skills that relate to people who live paycheck to paycheck. I think he went in there and tried to have a laugh to show, hey, look, guys, I can be one of you guys, right? Like, I can be a normal on the street guy. And the reality is, no, you can't, Dave. Like, you live in an ivory tower. Go up there, enjoy your billions of dollars, enjoy owning a football team. Leave us alone. Just give us a good team. And it didn't work. So the social skills kind of let him down. You haven't heard anything since then, right? This is what I point out to Carolina Panther fans. Since that incident in that bar, you haven't heard anything from David Tepper. He wasn't around during the draft. He was out of the way. He hasn't been talking about the team. Last year, he was like Jerry Jones. You could not put a mic in front of David Tepper's face. It was like a moth to flame, right? we haven't heard a word out of the guy. So hopefully what we're seeing is with the back half of last year, with this team on an upward trajectory this year, hopefully Tepper has learned a little patience and said, okay, if I stay out of the way and I let football guys make football decisions, then good things are going to happen. It may have taken him a long time to get there, but if he's learned that lesson, I think Carolina's in a good spot.
Gino, you want to talk some ACC?
I do. Or SEC.
Or SEC.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, college football here, the SEC, who's going to be coming out on top? We're kind of coming to the conclusion it's not not LSU. And you know, granted, Rob, I listened to you a lot when you're appearing on BetMGM tonight, which we carry on our show. You're also on Sundays, but that's more NFL talk. But I know you know college football. So big weekend of SEC football. And I might be putting you on the spot here, but who are some of your better plays this weekend?
First off, you're never putting me on the spot to talk about college football. It is one of the greatest gifts the universe has ever given us, guys. So never put me on the spot. Listen, I think it depends on where you want to look. First and foremost, I cover the South Carolina Gamecocks. Hammer Alabama minus 11.5, boys. Listen. Okay. Every year it feels like there is what we call it around here a Gamecocktober surprise that is lurking where South Carolina upsets somebody, and this is their last chance to make that happen. That's not going to happen. I mean, Mike Shula, who is, speaking of Carolina Panthers, their old offensive coordinator, who ruined the career of Cam Newton when he was in Charlotte, is the offensive coordinator for South Carolina. My only question about that is why? Why is this still happening? We came into this year with Lenore Sellers, who was looking at a consensus number 1 overall draft pick in the NFL next year, and he has ruined South Carolina's offense. They have 297 yards a game, the only SEC team not to get to 300 yards a game. They are the 7th worst offense in football, and Mike Shula has changed exactly and precisely not a single damn thing about it, despite the numbers week after week after week being embarrassing. I know the Gamecocks are looking for an upset. I know they want one. They want to feel good. It's not happening against Alabama. Ty Simpson is spectacular. Again, he's much like I was talking about with Andy Dalton. Is he electric? No. Is he making plays that we would consider Heisman moments? Probably not. But, man, when he goes out there and he's going 21 of 24 for, 275 yards and 3 touchdowns, when he finds out that, that Ryan Williams guy can catch a little bit, gets him the ball, this offense is humming, man. Since they lost to Florida State, which I genuinely think was a game they lost because they looked and went, Florida State was 2-10, they suck. We just got to roll the Crimson helmet out there on the field and they'll roll over. Since then, they've been a wagon, and I don't think that is going to stop. I'm also going Texas A&M minus 2.5 over LSU. If you've listened to me on MGM, you know I've been hammering the drum since week 2. LSU's an overrated football team. They've got a head coach that nobody in Baton Rouge likes. Nobody likes Brian Kelly. Nobody. They'll fake it when he's winning games.
Yeah.
But if he's not winning games, nobody likes Brian Kelly. He's maybe the most unlikable dude in college football. That team has fallen apart. They've just fallen apart, and I don't see that going anywhere. This is a game that Mike Elko gets the boys up for in Texas A&M. Marcel Reed has been much better defensively. Texas A&M, who has given up a lot of points up front, have kind of started to develop a little bit. So the 2 highlight games, if you want to call them that, I'm going to take the favorites, and I'm going to take them juiced. Alabama minus 11.5. Give me A&M on the road minus 2.5. I might even tease that up to 3.5, depending on what the plus money bet I'm going to get is.
Rob, great stuff. Appreciate you making time for us. Let everybody know where we can get more of your work there at the Fan Upstate and the Odyssey app and the BetMGM network, as Gino was mentioning.
Absolutely, guys. I'm happy to come on anytime you want. You can find me on social media at The Rob Brown Show. That is across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of it. I do a bunch of stuff on there. My show, The Rob Brown Show, is a weekday morning show from 6 till 10 a.m. You can find it and listen to it live at thefanupstate.com. And then you can find me, I'm not going to lie, Saturdays around 1 o'clock with a big glass of bourbon in front of the couch. Fellas, enjoy college football. It's the best.
Here's the difference between where we are and where you are. Like, you identify as upstate. Here in Rochester, if somebody says upstate, we find that offensive. That's almost like kind of like, slander from somebody downstate. That's the way we kind of view it, Rob.
I've been to New York like 6 times, but like every other boring tourist, I've only ever been to the city. I have a friend that is from up that way who has been telling me, like, you've got to come to New York, but you got to get outside of the city and go see the rest of the state. Boys, I may get on the horn, pay you guys a call, and come host my show from your studio one day in the near future. I've heard it's a beautiful part of the country.
Rob, don't threaten us with a good time. And New York State is a great place if you like high taxes and high crime.
Come on.
We've got it all. I'm kidding. It is a beautiful
I
state.
live in the state of South Carolina, my guys. There's room.
Rob, don't be a stranger, man. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, fellas. Anytime. Happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
You got it. There's Rob Brown, the Fan Upstate in the free-to-download Odyssey app. Hear him here on the Fan. Rochester weekends on the BetMGM network.
Okay, I'm going to give you a takeaway, and then I'm going to give you the Bills' injury update. So my takeaway from Rob's interview when he's talking about Carolina's linebackers and he's saying, oh, Josh Allen should be able to run if he wants to run to the outside. I'm thinking, yeah, not only Josh Allen, I think James Cook. James Cook, who I think the Bills kind of took their foot off the pedal here in these last 2 losses. Get James Cook moving against those linebackers, Mike Danger, where that would be the irony. Yes, Carolina's going to try to run the ball. Yes, Carolina's going to have some success running the ball, but James Cook is one of the best 5 running backs. James Cook is the best running back on the field Sunday. It's not Rico Dowdle. It's not Chuba Hubbard. It's James Cook.
Yeah, I said that earlier this week. Coming out of the bye week, what do you want to see out of the Buffalo Bills? I want to see them establish the run again. I want to see them return to this physical identity that they had early in the season. And maybe the offensive line has just been banged up. I mean, maybe the bye week was exactly what they needed. And they can come out and they can dominate the line of scrimmage. And James Cook can have the kind of game that we saw him have through the first 4 games of this season against Carolina. That would be that in a win would be enough for me. You know, if they can do that and the defense doesn't completely fall on their face against Andy Dalton, come on. I have zero faith in Andy Dalton as a starting quarterback.
The other thing, and I know you say no one cares, but I called this on Monday. I said exactly what would happen because we're exploring what do you do with the safeties? Do you promote Hancock? Do you promote Jordan Poyer? And well, wait a second. What if it kind of blows up? All right. How do you save face? Injury. Yes, injury. Oh, neither guy is injured. And then yesterday, wait a second. Taylor Rapp didn't practice, and we talked to Sal Capaccio yesterday. Sal, what happened here? When did this happen? Well, apparently it happened at the end of the game. We didn't know. Of course you didn't know.
Yeah.
Did it really happen? Well, there are 3 guys that did not practice today, Mike Danger. Jordan Palmer, Josh Palmer, beg your pardon. Josh Palmer, wide receiver. Also, Daquan Jones. And yes, again, not practicing
Taylor
with a
Rapp.
knee injury.
Taylor Rapp's
Rapp.
not playing this week.
And if you're wondering, if you weren't with us yesterday, all right, who would be the guy that would step in if Rapp can't go?
It's Jordan.
Yeah, it's going to be Poyer.
It's Jordan Poyer.
It's going to be Poyer. I want to see Hancock. They're going to trust Poyer. I think in this instance, though, where you're just going to need run support, Poyer can still tackle. So I'm okay with that this week.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Well,
I don't love it.
It's
but
the best of all the bad options.
Let me see it with my eyes, and let me see if it actually works. I don't love it, but we'll see. And with Rapp and the knee injury and not knowing when that occurred or when that happened, yeah, it's awfully convenient. Hope he gets right, and we get to see Rapp again on the field soon. I'm sure some Bills fans would never like to see Rapp on the field again. I'm not one of those guys. I've liked Rapp's game with the Buffalo Bills. Save for maybe like the last couple of games. Haven't been great. But maybe there was an injury there that he was hiding or that he was dealing with. Well, now he has some time to get that sorted out. We'll get to Andy Behrens of the Deep Shot. He's stopping by for some fantasy football advice here as Week 8 gets underway tonight in Los Angeles. The Chargers hosting the Vikings on Prime. So we'll get Andy's thoughts on the Week 8 lineups. And we'll take your calls as well. 866-4326 is our number. 585-866-4FAN.
This hour, Andy Arians to join us. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, he just got called up. Won for the Amerks last night. Amerks back up again Friday night. They're taking on Laval. Gene Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
Talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amerks. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Back in the sports bar. Thanks for joining us here. Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Thanks for watching the stream up on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. You can like, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. You'll always know when we're going live. Tomorrow, we take the show live on the road. We're going to Remedy at Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack, Farmington.
Yeah, food is great. The venue is great. Just monitors all around. And look, it's a fun place. If you're going to go out and watch some college football on a Saturday or the NFL on Sunday, highly recommend Remedy. We'll be there tomorrow, though, 3 to 6. Start your weekend with us here on the Fan Rochester.
Very highly stimulating environment for the sports bar. It's hard for me to stay focused between the food, the drink, the gaming, everything going on. We will be at Remedy tomorrow starting at 3 o'clock. We'll kick off your sports weekend at Remedy inside of Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack with the Fan Rochester. You can always reach out to us also on X. That's Elon's Twitter, at the Fan Rochester. One of our regulars, Pete, always sending us stuff. And he sent this earlier today. And when I saw this clip and really consumed it, I'm like, I might have a new favorite player in the NFL that doesn't reside on one of my favorite teams. But what we hear, the truth bombs that Joe Flacco unleashes in this 2-minute soundbite, it's too good to not mention in the sports bar.
Well, there's that we kind of skip over with athletes. And the funny thing is when you get into your 30s and you're approaching 40 and Joe Flacco's out older than 40. You have families. It's not the same when you are in your 20s, right? And here's Joe Flacco. Okay, I'm going to give it another go-around in Cleveland. Great. Oh, I got traded. Well, how does that work? Like when you have kids, are you moving them from town to town? And Joe Flacco, he says this in such a way, Danger, how if you are, I can relate. I don't know about you, Danger.
Let's hear Joe Flacco talking about how he's adjusting to life as a journeyman quarterback.
How are you navigating being a dad?
Well,
this is happening.
The good thing, I guess you could say, is that I was, I love being there and around them and doing all those things. But at the same time, like, they get in their routine and they're having a lot of fun back at home. And early on in the season, they came out to this week's game, and I think and that's pretty enjoyable to do. After there's not too many situations. I tell people all the time. I mean, I used to see guys sitting at a bar by themselves or at the dinner table with my kids and hearing what the hell they were talking about all day. But if you have to do it, then you might as well take advantage of it. So, just little things like that.
Are Cincinnatians starting to see you at restaurants and take pictures and say hello?
I guess so, maybe a little bit. I try to get there early.
Say out loud, perfectly out loud. Like, yeah, I'm okay, not going to CVS to pick up the prescription for my wife, or, all the stuff that Bean kind of said.
Bean said that, like, oh, it's, hey, hon, can you go pick up this at the CVS?
I like being at training camp instead. I'd rather be in the dorms with the guys than having to worry about the responsibilities of being a dad or being a husband. And Flacco basically laying it out there. And you know what, man? As somebody who spent more time yesterday in an airport than actually interacting with coworkers and colleagues, yeah, it is a little bit enjoyable when you can just kind of dial in by yourself and focus in on what you have.
Watching that night, and he's like, oh my gosh. He's looking at his watch. He's like, I gotta go. He sleeps at 2:00 just so he can get in the frame of mind. It's not wrong for him to say it's enjoyable for me to be here by myself with my.
Just one of us. One of us?
Did you eat in the airport last night by yourself?
Did I ever? Not only did I eat, I indulged. I walked by the newsstand at the airport, and I look and I'm like, Halloween is a week from Friday. Kids aren't trick-or-treating. No candy haul this year. Been relegated to dispensing duties. Do I want to spend $7 on a bag of Nerds gummy clusters? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And yes, I did.
And you crushed the whole thing.
And I crushed the whole bag while I was waiting for my delayed flight into Rochester last night.
So how is this different? Because one of our coworkers, Terrible Take / Terrible Time Timmy, who was filling in on the break room, he got shamed for bringing in some energy drink and a Snickers bar as his breakfast. How is that different?
Well, I didn't have that for dinner. I mean, I washed that was what I washed down the pizza that I had before. So I had a pizza for dinner.
It's not healthy either.
And water. I didn't go the soda route. Water's healthy.
Okay, water.
I drank water instead. Yeah. How's it different? I don't know that it is. I don't know that I'm any better than Terrible Take Timmy. I'm not going to shame the guy for being in a yummy phase. I'm in the same. I get in the same rut. I get in the same boat where all I want to eat is junk food, and it sustains me and it fulfills me in some way that I can't explain.
One of the years we first started doing this show, somebody had candy corn upstairs. It's just every commercial break.
Gone.
You were just...
Remember the Dum-Dums?
Yeah,
remember
the Dum-Dums.
The feed bag of Dum-Dums that were left over from, I don't know, what were we doing, Kids Fest or the hay rides or something, and there was like leftover candy. I'm like, don't leave that around me. It'll be gone. It'll be gone.
If you are reaching for Dum-Dums, you should question your life's choices.
I just can't help myself. I wouldn't say I'm a food addict, but I definitely have a sweet tooth. It's teasing me. The Snickers bar that was left here for Terrible Take Timmy, or that he left, I'm sure it's for the next time he has to come into the studio here and work with the Amerks.
Well, is that Duffy just leaving it there for him tomorrow night just to taunt him a little bit? I'm wondering, perhaps.
Maybe. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm being respectful, but it is taunting me. I mean, I'd be lying to you if my first thought when I saw it was, oh, that's going to taste good in a few minutes. No, I won't do that. But, there is... back to Flacco, there is something satisfying. And by the way, it doesn't have to be you sitting alone at a restaurant. It could be you working on something, a project at home, or doing something. I mean, this is where guys find satisfaction in mowing their lawn or yard work or a project. If you're working on something by yourself.
I didn't take that context. You did no, like you're still on dad duty if you're doing all that. You are just a hey hon. You're just you are within striking distance. It's when you're going on the business trip, and in this day and age of Zoom and everything else,
I
don't want to throw you under the bus, but like you were gone yesterday in Virginia. Like, is that really needed? You getting called down there?
Was it needed? Yes, it was work. I was down there working. It wasn't me. I mean, look, there were some benefits to being down there. It was sunny and 70. It was a beautiful, perfect fall day.
I get all that, but could you have accomplished this virtually? Was what I'm asking.
No.
No.
No, this was a boots on the ground. I'm on the road all day, going from location to location. And it was necessary. And believe me, I'm not looking for excuses to travel more so I could be isolated more, because ultimately it is still work. It is still added strain. And that's before you even talk about traveling, airports, flights, people. Just, I mean, my wife has it right. She's like, I'll just stay in my bubble. I'll happily stay in my bubble. Okay, that's great. I'm a little bit jealous of that. But Flacco laying it out for guys. That guy is in heaven. The guy that's eating by himself or having a beer at the bar by himself, not a worry, not a care. He's just enjoying himself. That's. I know I'm within earshot, but that's me in my screened-in garage every night watching a game. It's just, let me do what I got to do. Get a couple of hours. Get the head right.
The only thing I could relate to is when I was calling college football and you'd be going out, or basketball, or whatever it is, and you're going to one of these schools, and it's a driving distance, but then, okay, you get a budget, and I would go to a Subway or whatever it is. I'm taking advantage of that meal, and then you're just sitting there by yourself, and you could look on the outside. You made fun of me the one night where, like, I stopped at a throughway rest stop, and it's like 10:30 at night. I encountered the one and only snooty, rude Chick-fil-A employee, but I always found those kind of satisfying after you did the job.
Yeah.
On my way back, and I'm just here with my thoughts, eating food.
That's right. Right. Food or a beer, or both. Wouldn't be angry at both. Here they go. They're chiming in, the regulars on X at the Fan Rochester. The barfly of the sports bar, our Barney, Chris in South Central Kentucky. It's a bit of irony that Gene Battaglia says if you're reaching for the dum-dums, you have to question your life choices, and post an image of the grandpa with the kid on his lap eating the Werther's Originals.
All right, don't even. If you're new to the show, okay, and it was around this time of year. We were like 2 months into the show, and we're talking about what candy we like, and I mentioned butterscotch and Werther's, and I made the mistake of trying to disown it, saying, I never said that. Bull, you said it, Gene. And it's like, it's out there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Werther's has this imagery of just being the old man candy in the pocket, come sit on my lap, kid. And they actually had a commercial, come to find out, like way back when. Yeah. So somehow I got painted as old grandpa here with Werther's. And thanks to you, Chris, and others in Danger, haven't been able to shake this just because I like this particular candy, which, by the way, Danger, never ended up in my kid's bounty. No one gives out Werther's. They just don't.
They don't. Hey, terrible trick, Timmy. I see you like Snickers. I got a Werther's Original over here for you. Before you talk to Don Stevens do the Amerks game tonight, maybe you want to sit on Uncle Gino's lap here, tell me a story about Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen last night at Bluegrass Arena. What do you say? That's not how you sound. I apologize.
No.
It's a horrible impersonation.
Tim was calling me out. I don't remember what impersonation I did, but he grounds me like that's not even close. It's not even funny, actually. Stop.
Week 8 in the NFL starts tonight from Los Angeles. Oh, rough commute for Al Michaels tonight on Prime.
He'll still be grumpy, though.
Be grumpy over the fact that there'll be more Viking fans
There's another
than Charger
bad impression
fans.
there. We send it down to Michelle, even though she's not on the network anymore. Still like saying Michelle.
No, it's Kaylee. No, we throw it down to Kaylee. Yeah. Kaylee Hartung, yeah. We'll get to Andy Behrens here next from the Deep Shot. Andy Behrens will help set your Week 8 fantasy football lineup, a Week 8 that has 6 teams on bye. Whew, pickings are thin. We'll get through it together. Andy Behrens will be your guide next on The Fan.
You're listening to the update.
Taylor Rapp not practicing again today. Today's injury report for the Bills, same exact as yesterday, meaning wide receiver Josh Palmer, also Daquan Jones not practicing. One guy who was back, Larry Ogunjobi.
Being able to get back out here, knock the rust off if there's any, and just, fly around and play. I think that's the most important thing. And, you kind of find the things that you want to find too. And obviously, there's nothing like football. You can run around all day, but, actually pushing on people, seeing the blocks, feeling the box, getting off blocks. I think that's the most important thing. So I'm excited that I was able to get back out here and play.
Week 8 begins tonight as the Chargers and Vikings from SoFi. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, it was a short conditioning stint with the Amerks. He won last night. He gets called back up to Buffalo. The Amerks on Friday night will be hosting Laval, Saturday playing in Cleveland. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Track in Farmington. Gino and I doing the Sports Bar live from 3 until 6. We invite you out for some of the great food and get ready for your weekend of sports action. It's a weekend that gets underway tonight, Week 8 in the NFL, Thursday Night Football on Prime in Los Angeles as the Chargers will host the Minnesota Vikings. And as we do every week at this time, man, it's a thrill to have Andy Behrens from the Deep Shot on with us to help set your Week 8 lineup. And it's a Week 8, Andy, that has 6 teams on bye, and then you factor in the injuries that we're monitoring throughout the course of this week. Pickings are getting slim, buddy. How you holding up?
6 teams on bye is it's a tax on everyday Americans, folks. It's inappropriate and it is unnecessary, considering that we have weeks with no teams on bye, with 2 teams on bye. I hate it. I have multiple lineups where I'm starting like 3 tight ends. So it's rough out there, man.
Let's say you need a quarterback, and turn back the clock to last Thursday, and we're like, okay, well, Joe Flacco, can he continue this? I don't think any of us saw 23 targets to Jamar Chase, 16 completions. Okay, Andy, now the Bengals get the Jets, so I don't think we can expect that again. Or could we expect something perhaps that might help you this week? What do you make of this Bengals offense after that win over Pittsburgh?
Yeah, you're not going to get exactly those numbers out of Joe Flacco each week. And, we have to remember that he is the guy who lost this year, because not only will he make himself a playable quarterback, a streamable quarterback in fantasy, but he's going to save the value of 3 guys who were simply too big to fail, right? We took Jamar Chase first overall. We took Chase Brown, very open to it. Again, all that needed to happen was somebody to normalize that offense, because it was just broken with Jake Browning, and you never knew where the ball was going to go. It was absolutely great to see. So I'm a cautious believer in this. Again, I don't think it's going to be 300 yards every week, but it doesn't need to be in order to just great receivers and a really good running game.
Andy, you feel like it's been evergreen throughout the course of the season, complaining about A.J. Brown. When's he going to break out? When's he going to break out? He breaks out last week against the Vikings, and 2 straight days where he's not practicing. I mean, come on. I mean, there's injuries all over the place that we're monitoring here. We know that some players are coming back, like Aaron Jones, say tonight in Los Angeles for the Vikings. But to break us through on some of these injuries and what we think, I mean, I know we've got another day of practice here to look forward to tomorrow before we can make final determinations on whether or not these guys are going to be out there or not on Sunday.
The vibes don't seem that bad on A.J. Brown, honestly. He's working off to the side today, reportedly. All indications seem to be that they're managing this, and it's a hamstring like he dealt with in preseason, and they seem to expect him to be ready to go on Sunday. So I'm not panicky on that just yet. Jaden Daniels has been the big one, and and the big receivers there too. Terry McLaurin back at practice. We'll see if he can go, but it seems a lot better for Deebo Samuel this week. I guess the other huge one, of course, is Lamar Jackson, who has returned to practice. We'll see if he's running scared from the hottest team in football, the Chicago Bears. He should be. But obviously the Ravens are a whole different ballgame if Lamar is back in the mix.
Chargers and Vikings tonight, Andy, and rankings with a tight end that is putting up. Okay, that was very impressive, but do we trust this now to give it a go here tonight?
Yeah, on the one hand, you can say, well, Justin Herbert attempted 55 passes last week, so of course he saw volume, and we shouldn't expect that in a normal week. But on the other hand, he was a tight end that we love in fantasy. They don't even pretend that he's a blocker, right? We're not putting him in the backfield. We're not really putting him in line. He's just in the slot or out wide, and he's running routes, and that's what we like to see. And he's earned a bunch of targets, and he's basically played, Conklin and Will Dissly off the field. So it is almost always around.
You just see him against the hottest team in the NFL go for 5 for 79. Juwan Johnson might still be out there if you're in need of a tight end, and very quietly this year, he's put up some big games.
Yeah, he kind of reanimated this last week because he'd been quiet after a couple of nice ones, started a couple of touchdowns too, and then he went quiet, and he was dealing with some injury. I think certainly this week he's in play because it's a potential shootout matchup against Tampa Bay, and we like them as an opponent for the passing game. Listen, I think Johnson's good, and he's kind of what I described with Rondé Gadsden, where they're not really asking him to do a lot of traditional tight end things. He's mostly just a big receiver for them, which again is what we love. So he's in that club with we'll put Dalton Schultz in the club, we'll put Cade Otton in the club, where I wouldn't want to play him in a normal week, but 6 teams on bye and limited options, heck yeah.
A source of fantasy points for all of us this year has been Tampa Bay, and we're. I don't know if we get Bucky Irving back, but I know one guy that's definitely not going to be coming back, unfortunately, Mike Evans. That is a bummer. So with that being said, you're already playing Ibuka. Shepard, Tez Johnson, where is the line, and what are your thoughts here about Tampa Bay and what you would think would be a bounce-back game coming up this week?
Well, wherever the line is, Tez Johnson is on the right side of it. This is 2 weeks in a row that guy has made plays, like splash plays, spectacular plays. 2 weeks ago it was the deep downfield catch, and then last week, he finds the end zone again. So that guy is finding a way every week. Really, really like him. Shepard, more of a possession guy, more of a let's just hope for 8 PPR points. Which is a possibility, right? If that's all you're looking for, you think you're a favorite, you don't need more than that, go for it because the volume is going to be there. Obviously, Ibuka's great. We're probably going to see a bunch of chain movie stuff to Cade Otton. He's more of a catch and fall sort of player. He's not going to do a lot for you after the catch, but it'll get you through a tight week.
He's on bye this week, but I pose this question about backfields where you have multiple backs, and it's funny, in Detroit, I think you would see what Gibbs has been doing this season and be like, yeah, Gibbs is Gibbs. He's fantastic. But also David Montgomery can be a contributor and be a source of some fantasy points as well. And I'm curious to get your thoughts, Andy, on what we're seeing in the Seattle backfield off of Charbonnet's big game, 2-touchdown game against the Texans late on Monday night. And when they come back from the bye, do you think anything adjusts there? What would you say to the Charbonnet or Kenneth Walker owner as you look ahead to the Week 9 here post-bye for the Seahawks?
Well, anybody with Charbonnet, I think, is pretty lucky because Kenneth Walker is, I think, he's the most explosive back on that roster, but he's also the guy getting the ball between the 20s.
Oh, yeah. Oh boy, we lost Andy there. A little bad connection. So let's see if we can get Andy back on the blower there and remind him of where we are. And yeah, we're talking about some of those losses there. The Mike Evans injury is just a devastating one. Tough to see and know that a guy that cares that much and was on his way to another 1,000-yard season if he were to stay healthy, missing the rest of the season here, being placed on IR. But certainly some fantasy points in order for that Bucks and Saints matchup coming up in the late window on Sunday afternoon. You're gonna have to wait until Monday afternoon or Monday evening rather for some fantasy goodness as well from the Chiefs and potentially Washington as we get Andy back on. And you were saying about the Seahawks and Charbonnet. You were saying Walker is getting all the work between the 20s.
Oh yeah, they tried to silence me, but it can't happen. Yeah, it's really been Walker between the 20s, and then it's been Charbonnet with some of the most valuable touches, right? Again, I think Walker has a little bit more juice. I think that's clear. But I also think Charbonnet is, the guy they trust in pass protection, the guy they trust as a receiver, the guy they trust to just run the play as it's called, and those guys have a lot of value. So I think it's going to look like this rest of season. I think it's going to be Charbonnet with like 55% of the snaps, Ken Walker maybe 40% of the snaps, and some weirdos in there the rest of the time. I'm usually going to have Walker ahead in the ranks because he, again, is the guy who can give you the home run.
I'm going to ask you a question about the trade deadline here because by the time we talk to you next week, Andy, well, we're only days away from it. Maybe we get some action between now and then. And when I ask you this, you're not allowed to say, hey, Alvin Kamara or Breece Hall in Kansas City, because I don't want you to speak it into existence. But seriously, as far as situations and maybe trade possibilities, what like in fantasy here too? Like, what situations should we be monitoring as it's coming up here that first Tuesday in November?
Well, I think the players that you're on the lookout for, the Saints receivers, either one of them could be a trade target. Obviously, Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed. They would both make a difference wherever they land. You got to believe that Buffalo is interested, but obviously other teams are interested as well. The thing that I want, if I could just wish cast something, and we're not even looking at Kansas City, I want Jackson Dart to get a receiver. He's fun as it is. Like, he's basically a top 10 quarterback as it is, and he's throwing to like Lil Jordan Humphrey and Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. It was going to be so good with Malik Neighbors. So if the Giants could actually land someone like Olave, even if it was just Shaheed, I think that would be spectacular because that guy's, again, the Giants are a party right now, and they don't even have anybody particularly good in the receiving corps.
Yeah, I mean, to that end, when they go to Philadelphia here, I feel like this could be another affair that has some points on the board. What do you make of the Giants' assets? I mean, we don't bring you in here to say start Cam Scatterbo. I think everybody's doing that at this point, Andy. But what about some of these receivers that Dart is throwing to? You mentioned Lil Jordan and Wan'Dale Robinson as well.
Yeah, Robinson is a pretty clear starter at this point, and he spends so much time in the slot. He never sees anybody's primary corner, gets a lot of volume, and Dart will throw to him downfield too. They're getting him downfield, which we know he could do in college. It's great to see him doing it in the NFL. Dart has just been an absolute revelation for me. This is the first time that like a Lane Kiffin quarter. I have been really impressed every time I have seen Dart, and it was now he's cleared. He's already had a big game against Philly, and he's had a big game against the Denver defense. Like, we can't really ask anymore. There's not a better defense out there for him to face. So he's almost matchup proof for you at this point, which is a crazy thing to say about a rookie quarterback.
Andy Barron's a deep shot, our guest here in the Sports Bar, and we always ask you about streaming defenses. And one of the criteria says, like, hey, look for good offenses and quarterbacks that might not able to keep up. Sean McDermott coming out of a bye with Buffalo is 8-0. Are we trusting? Because the Bills' defense has been spotty to say the least here, Andy. But are we trusting the Bills' offense going against? We figure Andy Dalton, or the Bills' defense, I should say, going against Andy Dalton.
Yeah, it feels like a good situation, right? Because you want the Bills to be able to get a lead, and then for Andy Dalton to have to put the ball in the air 40 times. Because when quarterbacks drop back, that's when fantasy points happen. It's when we get sacks. It's when we get interceptions. We get pick sixes. Dalton will give you some of those. So it is a very good recipe. And also, like, as you guys know, Buffalo's been fine against the pass this year. That has not been the problem. Stopping the run has been a huge problem. Listen, Carolina will get you on the ground, and they will commit to the ground game too. So that's the worry. But I do think Buffalo's in a good spot. I think Atlanta is a great defense that's in a great spot. They get Miami. So they get the Tua Tagovailoa carnival of turnovers, and that defense is like number 2 in terms of total yardage on the year, and number 1 against the pass. So don't sleep on them. I feel like they should be rostered in way more leagues.
Andy, tell everybody about the deep shot, the work that you and Dalton are doing there for the fantasy football community.
Yeah, really appreciate that. The site is thedeepshot.com. Dalton and I are producing all the good stuff that we did back in the Yahoo days right over there. I've got waiver wire recommendations now. We have ranks live now. Dalton's got DFS tips. He's got sit starts coming this week. So please come by, check it out.
I don't want to even talk to Danger on Monday if the Bears go into Baltimore. Andy, are you going to be insufferable too? Because I know Danger's going to be insufferable.
That's not fair. I've been taking this winning streak in complete stride. You don't see me high-stepping anywhere. I mean, come on. That's unfair.
I am taking this victory lap as soon as it's available to me because I don't know what the second half of the season is going to look like. So, yes, I am insufferable now. I will continue to be insufferable if they get this win.
The best. Andy, appreciate the time, man. Enjoy your weekend.
Later, guys. Good luck, everyone.
There's Andy Behrens. Check out his work at The Deep Shot. Get your fantasy football advice from a pro. He's the best.
It is a lot of fun, and it is a short week, too. So, this is one of, okay, if you get by this week and you don't have the Lions or the Seahawks, you talk about the Seahawks. You know how good Jackson Smith and Jigba's been?
He's been great.
Oh, my gosh. He's the best receiver in football
Best receiver
now.
in football. Yep,
Yeah.
for sure. Nobody really saw that coming. Oh, wait. Who was the guy that said that the Vikings should hold on to Sam Darnold? Oh, yeah, that was me. That was me saying that Vikings aren't going to win 14 games with whoever they trot out there next year. Keeping Darnold would have solved so many problems for that offense. And now you're pasting it together, cut and paste with Carson Wentz. McCarthy's not ready. Your head coach is a bit of a quarterback whisperer. But Darnold doesn't look like he's really missed anything. I mean, he's got that team, that offense humming. He's got a great weapon in JSN.
Is that the toughest division to figure out? Arizona's not winning that division. But I think you can make a case for any three of those teams, including San Francisco, Danger, to win that division.
I still think San Francisco's winning that division. I'm still high on San Francisco.
I just want Mac Jones to be this great quarterback that Bill Belichick never was able to develop.
And not to be insufferable, but the NFC North is the best division in football. Every team is over 500.
Yeah.
So, and we'll see tonight. We'll see if the Vikings are able to get over on the Chargers. Well, what's left of the Chargers? What's left of the Vikings? At least they're getting Aaron Jones back, which I guess helps their chances. They've proven that they're a better team when Aaron Jones is healthy and on the field. Appreciate Andy stopping by and sharing some Week 8 fantasy football notes. I saw this note, too, since we're speaking NFL for a little bit. We'll get to happy hour here shortly, talk about the big story of the day, which, of course, has to involve with a major gambling scandal in the NBA.
Look, and I work, my job is advertising, but it becomes noise after a while, just the background noise, white noise. And same thing with everything on your monitor. And when you're looking at ESPN in the background, ESPN bet, and we go to commercial, bet. But now we're going to go to the content, and, hey, we have this major scandal going on.
Right.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit.
I saw this, and I thought it was interesting, Gino, because we talk about this frequently. If you're an NFL fan, you always, or at least I have always said, they should just move the Super Bowl to the Sunday of President's Weekend because that Monday we're all useless and it might as well be a national holiday, right?
One of these years it's going to actually line up that way, though, correct?
2027.
All right.
2027.
Okay.
2027, when you assume that the league will still be 17 games, 18 weeks, and eventually 18 games, 19 weeks, right? They're going to get it to 18 games at some point. But 2027, it was announced that the Daytona 500 is going to take place on February 21st because the Super Bowl will be a week earlier, Valentine's Day, February 14th, which lands on President's Day weekend. So we all get our wish, at least in 2027, to have that national holiday, Super Bowl Sunday, into a day off from work.
That, I would go for that. 9 million people tuned in for Game 7 of the World Series, Danger. Of the ALCS to send the Blue Jays to the World Series.
That's a pretty good number for...
That is the best since 2017, and that was Yankees Red Sox. So isn't the lesson here, wait a second, that's a team north of the border. We don't care, but if it's good drama and good theater. But what's surprising about that is you're going head-to-head against football.
That's right.
That was two teams with fantasy relevance in Tampa Bay and Detroit.
On Monday night, yeah.
On Monday night.
Yeah. And the Monday night game drew all right. From what I remember reading, it was the Seattle game that did not do good numbers. The Seattle game against the Texans, and you would imagine that because a lot of them were watching, a lot of the local fans were probably watching the Mariners.
So here's my expectation, and here's my prediction, right? My expectation is this World Series is going to be great. You have the best players in the game in Shohei and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Vlad Guerrero on the other side and Bichette coming back and, big markets, big personalities, and we're going to get to it and we're like, yeah, it was a great World Series. And then we're going to get to next year, and then going to be heading in spring, we're going to be talking about labor crap. And this sport, it's just history repeating itself.
Yep. It gets to a point where it feels like it's peaking, and it's got all of our interest, only for it to take a back seat once again and 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Jim Riley, our baseball guy from Ballcap Sports, will be stopping by the sports bar tomorrow afternoon, 3:25.
I wonder, because he loves the Blue Jays. Is he actually going to make it up there? I wonder.
Duffy's going.
I heard this.
Yeah, Duffy's going.
How much did he pay? Do you know?
I didn't ask him.
These are the relevant questions. You need to find out. Yeah.
It's none of my business what he pays. If you have the means and you have the ability to go, I say go. And it's something you could check off your bucket list. And for a guy who I know has always been a Blue Jays fan, I don't want to say he's always been a baseball guy because, as we all grow and we grow, our families are taking priority. We can't watch every sport all the time. And Duffy confided in me that baseball was the one that kind of slid off the table a little bit. He still likes his basketball, of course, loves his football and hockey, but baseball took a back seat to, I can't watch every game. I've got kids stuff to do. I got to, be responsible.
That's probably a common theme for a lot of people, right? I mean, how many people actually kind of like, the Bills, whatever. Yeah. Like the Bills are relevant. It's must see. I would imagine everybody has that sport. Now, for me, I will admit this. It was the Knicks. It was the NBA. It was like, oh, gosh, this team. But then, okay, I'm on the bandwagon. That was a lot of fun, and now I'm tuning in, and everything is okay. It's okay to jump in and out. There's nothing that says it's mandatory that you are, for the rest of your life, watching every game.
I'm not going to look at him and be like, what a bandwagon fan. You say you're always a Blue Jays fan, but you haven't watched many games this year. Now you're going to the World Series? No, I'm not going to say that. Go, man. Go have fun.
But I do question the people, and one of my best friends in the world, his name is Brian, and we joke about this with him. He will change teams like that. I'm not. Are you really a sports fan if you're just all of a sudden rooting for the Niners?
What about if you're rooting for the player? Like if you're a Peyton Manning fan and you followed him to Denver, and then all of a sudden you're a Denver fan because Peyton Manning went from the Colts to Denver.
I think that deserves kind of an asterisk. You can't. Like, okay, how about this? You're a Yankee fan, Red Sox fan, Met fan. Hey, you know what? I'm really happy for Ernie Clement. I'm for the Jays. Is that sort of the same thing? I think it's okay.
If you're an Ernie Clement fan and you followed him, let's say his career, sends him somewhere else.
Nobody was that other than his family. Let's be honest. Like he went from Oakland to Cleveland. Nobody other than maybe Terrible Take Timmy was like the guy who owned the merch all along the way.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Like if you see other reasons than your team not being in it, hey, this would be really fun for my hometown.
We got to get to happy hour because, do we have a scandal.
When the Feds hold a press conference, when the NBA is not out in any such way ahead
You know what this reminds me of? You remember before the steroid scandal, the steroid era of baseball, President Bush got on TV addressing the nation and specifically brought up the idea that drugs were rampant in Major League Baseball, and he wanted to clean up Major League Baseball, and he probably saw it firsthand as he was, involved with the Rangers. Today is maybe not on that grand a scale because it's not the president of the United States, but it's the head of the FBI holding court and laying out everything that has been going on here with a handful of NBA athletes, the mob, and illegal gambling.
A head coach.
Yeah.
A head coach.
In the NBA.
An NBA a pro basketball Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
This isn't just like some guy. Slappy. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into Chauncey Billups and the like next with Happy Hour. And plenty of time for your calls as well. 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
Sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
The Bills' Thursday injury report, same as the Wednesday injury report. Josh Palmer, also Daquan Jones, and Taylor Rapp all not practicing today. One guy who was back at practice, Michael Hoy.
I mean, it honestly went by pretty quick. I thought it was going to take a long time. I think what was really helpful was having that Thursday Miami game because 3 weeks went by really fast, and then all of a sudden I was allowed back in the building. So honestly, the same as how a season goes. You just kind of take it day by day, and whatever it is you're trying to accomplish that day, you just get through it, and then next thing you know, it's you're prepping for Week 8 Carolina.
Week 8 begins tonight. It's Chargers and Vikings from SoFi. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was a short rehab stint, or should say conditioning stint, in Rochester. After last night's win, he got called back up to the Sabres today. The Amerks back in action Friday night against Laval at home. They're in Cleveland on Saturday night. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amerks. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
It is happy hour. Welcome back into the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Thanks for listening in the free to download Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn app. You can also watch the sports bar. Our stream is up every afternoon from 3 until 6 on our YouTube and Twitch channels at The Fan Rochester. And oh boy, do we have a scandal from the NBA today.
It was nice that the federal investigators waited until today, not on opening night. Can you imagine they did this 2 days ago? Hey, welcome to the NBA on NBC. It's been since
the timing
2002,
is not, it's not great.
Not
great, Bob. Not great timing.
But close enough that, hey, it's a new season and let's get excited. And oh my gosh, if you thought that reserve from Toronto was part of the problem, 34 guys they arrested. Now, they're not all in the NBA. Only 3 guys connected to the NBA, but this involves, I didn't know, Danger, the Genovese family still operates in the mob and other crime families in New York City. This feels like, my gosh, it feels like a podcast in the making here. True crime.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'll consume it. I'll eat it all up. It is, welcome back to America. The mob is still a thing. The crime families are still a thing. Not like they ever went away, but they are still out there, and you've got connections with this federal investigation that's been going on that now links this illegal activity to a pro basketball Hall of Famer and Chauncey Billups, the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers. What?
How and why? That's the part I don't understand. I can totally understand how somebody might be, and maybe that's what this is, that you really do have an addictive personality and you're in trouble and this is your way out of it. And this indictment, my gosh, there's so much to it. But Chauncey Billups being the biggest name here, he's an NBA Hall of Famer.
He's not the biggest name that's in the paperwork. LeBron's name did get mentioned. Not that LeBron had anything to do, but information about LeBron was shared that it was in question as well. I only bring that up not to say LeBron is guilty of anything. I mean, LeBron is a pitchman for DraftKings, for crying out loud. So, far be it for me to say that LeBron is out there making money other than endorsing a sports book through gambling. I don't think that that's the case, but information about LeBron was used as part of this investigation for illegal gambling.
It's now everybody's going back, and maybe this is one of the many things that tipped the investigators off, Danger. It's a game last year between Portland and Boston, and Boston's favored by 10. And here we are. Boston has the basketball, closing seconds, and Boston is up by a score of 126 to 118. The point spread is at 9 or 10 or 9 times. Portland has a foul to give. They give the foul. They put a Celtic on the line. 4 seconds left. You put a Celtic on the line, and wouldn't you know, the Celtic makes both free throws, and the Celtics cover. Really? What would be the NFL equivalent of that?
Gino, it probably happens every week, and we don't even think about it or know about it.
Well, could the NBA have done a better job? And I would say yes. This clip going around that, Adam Silver's like, well, when it comes to betting, we don't have a seat at the table. You're like the WNBA. You can't control your messaging.
Yeah.
You have criminal activity.
Yeah.
And, hey, it's not different. I mean, we had a major scandal in Major League Baseball that, hey, it's not Shohei, it's the interpreter. The NFL was completely legal, what Calvin Ridley did, but by the spirit of the game, that's a bad look, and you agreed not to do this, so you're suspended.
For a year. Guys have done a lot worse in the NFL and been suspended for less than a year.
This just goes to here's the problem with the NBA, and I'm not going to mix metaphors because some people have done this, but it's the players that have too much power in this league, that there doesn't seem to be. It was always the league that, hey, you want to smoke weed, go ahead. Hey, you want to do this? Hey, you're the Brooklyn Nets. Do whatever you want. Show up whenever you want. There doesn't ever seem to be any accountability when you're trying to market to people that are working 9-to-5 jobs. That I think there's been this kind of disconnect. But we're willing to suspend this every once in a while. But now to hear that you have this guard from Miami who was in Charlotte before, literally fixing things, allegedly. You have a Hall of Famer who's sitting down at these poker tables. Now, does that have anything to do with the NBA? No, but when you hear that story about him in the Celtic game last year, I'm like, how did that come about?
The poker games were fixed. And he was the lure to try and get big names to come, big deep pockets to come to these poker games, these fixed poker matches, so you could play poker with Chauncey Billups and lose all your money, with that money going to the mafia, allegedly. So this is all unfolding now. I try to trace this back, and I think to myself, either the NBA is really bad at controlling their messaging, or this is more widespread in the NBA and prevalent than we could possibly imagine. And honestly, none of it is surprising. You think back to the greatest player, many would say, in the NBA of all time, Michael Jordan. And we knew that Michael Jordan loved to gamble. We knew he would wager on golf.
You don't think? Oh, wait a second. None of it was legal back then, but continue.
We knew all of this. In fact, there were people that believed that Michael Jordan's father was murdered because they got to him because of gambling debts, right? Like, that story is out there. It's never been confirmed. Nobody's ever connected those dots.
Yeah, I'm not willing to say that, but if we're talking about sports conspiracy theories, the fact that Jordan wins another championship and he's just going to walk away at that time.
Right.
And try something new.
Right.
Like, okay, by the letter of the law, you're suspended, but this would be really bad for our league. So, you know what? Just take a couple
David
years.
Stern was better at controlling the message than Adam Silver. David Stern understood, I think, it would be really bad for this to come out that Jordan has ties to the mob. Maybe he's in deep with some bad guys, or he has some debts with some bad guys. And so let's just make him go away instead of worrying about the negative from a story like that. Let's focus on what a great athlete he is, trying to start a professional baseball career. Go do that for a little bit. Or maybe we're just making this all up. Maybe this is just all tall tales that we're telling out of school. But when you look at the present landscape that we're in, where legalized sports wagering is everywhere and you're getting bombarded with messages about it, even as they're reporting about these arrests, you're still getting bombarded with messages to go to the ESPN sportsbook, right? Like the hypocrisy is real. But the NBA has had this happen now multiple times. And whereas if you compare and contrast to the NFL, you mentioned Calvin Ridley goes away for a year. And Calvin Ridley wasn't betting on his own games. right? He was betting on.
He was just doing what you or I would do. Except the NFL security quickly figured that out. Like, hey, we cannot have a player do this. I would point to
baseball.
What just happened in Cleveland?
Yeah,
like Clase was the best closer in 2024. Ortiz was a young starter, and then you look at the video. Oh, wait a second. What are you doing throwing a pitch that far outside of the zone? Well, okay, you can bet on will the next pitch be a ball or strike. And I can theorize how something like that could happen. Are you really hurting anybody? Are you hurting your team if you're going to throw a pitch purposely for a ball? But you have to have 100% trust that what we're watching, what you're betting on, is all on the up and up. And baseball did the right thing. There wasn't we're going to place them on investigation and then we'll kind of update you. No, it was like,
you're gone. Yeah.
You're gone.
Disappear.
I'm telling you, you will never see those pitchers again, nor should you. And for anybody that said, what did Pete Rose do that was really wrong? And I'm sorry, this is like the OG of sports talk. Pete Rose was a really bad guy who ran with really bad people, and every commissioner said, you know what? We are not letting you back in because we cannot have another Pete Rose in our sport, period. Sorry, you did this to yourself.
Well, and baseball, you mentioned the Guardians pitchers, but I mean, you don't have to look back far. Their biggest star in the game was in a gambling scandal that disappeared within the course of days. I mean, they moved quick to make sure Shohei Ohtani didn't do anything wrong. There was no wrongdoing. He was betting illegally, but it wasn't him. It was his interpreter. Diving deep.
Wait a second. This voice on this tape taking out the money from his own account. That's not Shohei taking his money from it. Sure, the story that's out there is it plausible? I guess. Am I ever gonna really think that Shohei is 100% clean on that? Some guy's gonna sit in jail for a very, very long time on that.
I know that if you do gamble, if you use a FanDuel, a DraftKings, whatever it might be, that if you're worried about what the future looks like, because I've heard people say, we said it earlier today, well, you just clean this up by getting rid of prop bets. And I don't think that's happening. I get it. I understand why you say that. And maybe a politician makes a real strong play for that, but there's too much money coming in to the leagues from books now and companies now that have made their entire business model around prop bets. Underdog, prize picks. You pick over-unders, you build your parlay, and you play those games that are all above board, all legal, but can you really trust the outcome when you see what's happening in the NBA?
What do California, Georgia, and Texas have in common?
They are states where you cannot legally...
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. There's still 11 holdouts. Now, here in New York State, and I'm not going to be hypocritical, you and I were banging for this. We were saying, hey, there's money to be had. This is easy revenue. Put everything above board. So why are those states, particularly a state like California, like every time I read, they've got a budget issue. All these states probably have budget issues, right? Why would
How many more homeless people can California actually hold?
Well, Alabama.
Yeah.
This is not just the blue states danger. South Carolina. Like Texas. Are you kidding me? Texas, you would think. Well, you say that prop bets, but if I'm in one of those states, okay, you can bet, but you're not going to bet any prop bets. Here in New York State, you can bet on other things here. In New York State, you can't bet on the NFL draft. Now, why is that? I can't pick up Brandon Bean, the phone to Brandon Bean. Hey, who are you trading back? Gene, we really, really love... Another bad impression. We want Maxwell Harrison. I can't do that.
Yeah. And some states will let you, bet on props like the color of the Gatorade at the Super Bowl. We can't do that here either. Some states will let you bet on college athletes. We do not bet on college athletes.
Well, we can bet on college athletes, not ones that are in New York State.
No, I'm saying over-unders, prop bets for college athletes.
I follow what you're saying.
Yes, but in New York State, yes, we're not going to bet for New York State colleges. We can't bet on Syracuse, right? So I think every state kind of governs itself in that way. But I as much as I hear the people saying, you just eliminate prop bets and this stuff goes away. I don't know that you can put that genie back in the bottle.
It's not a one, there's not one solution.
In some states, you might be able to say.
Well, what do you think they're saying in Oregon today? This is a franchise, the Portland Trailblazers. Danger, we grew up in the era of the Jailblazers, okay? Portland is the team that they can't get out of their own way. And now congratulations on having the first guy since Pete Rose to be the manager / head coach of a team who gets arrested. That's awesome. Congratulations. I guess technically Pete didn't get arrested. He was just banned. But whatever. You're in a lot of hot water. Actually, probably Pete had it better just being banned at the time. This guy, Billups, is going to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an ugly scene, and that's an absentee owner, too. I mean, that's the owner of the Seahawks as well.
That's one of the – you say Seattle's a weird city. Like, Portland is that city that it's just way out there.
Portland, the Pacific Northwest might as well be a different country. It just feels foreign to me. I've never visited, so I shouldn't judge, but it feels so distant and remote that it might as well be a foreign country. And they're not, it's not that different. It's just it feels removed. What are they saying today? You're probably right. They're probably saying this is embarrassing. This is a black eye. How do you hire a guy, even though he's got a Hall of Fame credential, a Hall of Fame resume? How do you hire a guy when, by the way, none of this was surprising? This has been talked about. These poker matches have been talked about for years.
Danger, they just gave the guy an extension.
Yeah.
So where, again, you and I experience, but we hear stories about NFL security. The NFL recognizes, okay, there's always going to be a scandal. There's always going to be something. But you know what? We're going to be out ahead of things. And one way, the easiest way to be out ahead of things is just to have the information, know what's going on. And when you know what's going on, you can craft a message or come up with a plan, right? That's pretty simple. Did the NBA, did Adam Silver, was he to what degree knew that all these games, and they threw up the graphic now just on ESPN, I'm like, holy cow, all these games they're looking at with the guy from Miami. And we just brought up the game where Portland looked like they rigged the game there with a head coach by fouling at the end. Like, at what point do you say, wait a second, we need to hire our own investigators and make sure that this is good? I'll tell you what, like, this is the worst possible start for an NBA season, is it not? This should have been something celebrated, like, hey, that was really fun, Round Ball Rock. Can't wait to see Michael Jordan coming up Tuesday night. What are we going to talk about with Michael Jordan? Oh, I'm going to talk about, my first championship with the Bulls. How about they talk about him betting?
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so.
I don't think that's going to happen. And by the way, I don't know that this necessarily affects the product as far as like people who just want to watch basketball and enjoy the game. I'm always going to be a bit skeptical of outcomes because that's just my nature. I'm always going to think that way. I think that there's a lot of variables in a game like the NFL where it's like, okay, really, there's just too many working parts for me to believe that everything is rigged or somebody is on the take or a ref is this or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. There's just too many variables. But in a sport like the NBA, and again, security, sure. If the NBA wants to beef up their security, that should be a step in the right direction. But how about some self-awareness? Because like I said, it's not like any of this was secret. You had professional poker players going on podcasts talking about these legendary poker matches with Chauncey Billups where everybody the pros felt like it was rigged, like they were losing their money, that they had no chance of winning. You've got guys talking, NBA players, former NBA players going on podcasts, talking about bets that they made and wagers that they made and players doing this and players doing that in game. The biggest names, and again, this brings me back to Jordan because I think to myself, and I've said this often, that the biggest and best athletes out there, the biggest and best competitors out there, all have a dark side. Tiger had a dark side. Jordan obviously had a dark side. Kobe, dark side. And I think a lot of NBA players feed into that. They're all competitors. They all want to be the GOAT. They all want to be what Jordan was. And there's no doubt that Jordan was a gambler. There's no doubt. I mean, we hear about it, we see it. He admitted
those trips to Atlantic City and like, okay, and then I'm going to beat the Knicks the next night. Legendary,
Right.
And we celebrated that.
Right.
We celebrated
He's
that. Like
one of us.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, he lost that much on the golf course? Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of an influence the greatest player of all time had on this current generation of players. Or in the case of Chauncey Billups, a guy from his generation who's now was a head coach. I wonder about that. Is it just part of is it so widespread? Is it just part of the culture of the NBA that you're going to constantly be competing, betting, wagering, whether you're playing quarters like he was playing with the right from the Last Dance? I mean, there was always some skin in the game. Always.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing that's not going to happen. What is different about this story as compared to Shohei Ohtani and from what we know now, the two Cleveland? I'm sure they want to get, have justice. They don't care about the guard from Miami. They care about the crime families. That's the one that they want to bring down. If they can use Billups and everything else, where does this story go? Adam Silver's not going to make this go away. I'm sorry. The NBA is a long way to go away, I don't think, in the lightning speed of Shohei, because that was one individual. One. It was Shohei.
They arrested 34 people today.
34 people. How long is that going to take?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, 34 people. You know what those 34 people might want to do? They might want to cut deals. And how do you cut deals? You sing.
You talk.
Who else is going to be involved? How much deeper is this going to get for the NBA?
That's the other part of it. If you think the mob is involved, and we know that the mob is involved in this, the stereotypes are there for a reason. Like, it might be deeper than, hey, do this or else. Do this or your family will. I mean, in some of these cases, you've got guys who come from poverty-stricken countries. You got guys who this is their ticket to wealth. This is their ticket to more money than they can possibly, generational wealth that can set their family up. You find out pretty quickly, oh, you really care about your mom. You really care about your sister. You really care about your wife and your kids. Do this or.
This goes back to security.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part. Was that the case with Chauncey Billups? Was that its book? And walks up to the counter. Yeah, I'd like to place the 6-figure wager on Tennessee. They're playing Alabama in college baseball.
That's going to send up some red flags.
For sure. Like, I don't know what the version of a pit boss is when it comes to sports gambling, but they were able. This is the technology, even in an off-the-path casino in Cincinnati, to triangulate the cell phone, pick up the cell phone, figure out who that guy was talking to. Oh, my gosh, it's the coach of Alabama saying, we're not starting this kid. We're actually not going to win today. This is your opportunity, my friend, to make money. The coach thinking he's going to help his friend out here when actually they're committing this big crime.
Gino, the smartest people in our society aren't helping us get back to the moon or sending us to Mars. They're working for the sports books. They're working with numbers. They're working on statistics and probabilities to make sure we can't win. We can't win. They are brilliant with software. They are brilliant with numbers. They are brilliant with stats. And they will ensure that the casinos will remain profitable, that they will continue to win. And the software that they will develop will be able to triangulate the guy that uses the cell phone that thinks he's getting over. Guys, you can't cheat. This is an Ocean's 11. You can't get over on the casinos, okay? Andy Garcia is going to break your legs. You're not getting over on Terry Benedict.
Ocean's 11, great. Ocean's 12, or whatever they called it, terrible. And 13 redeemed itself.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the second one, no. That was just like, that's why you never see it pop.
I thought 13 was with Al Pacino. I thought there was a lot of potential there, and I should have known. I'm like, there's no way this is going to be as good as I think it's going to be. And it disappointed me to great lengths. I thought 13 was garbage. I thought 12 was not great.
11 is the one.
11 is the one. 11 is the one that's generational so much so that, like, now I showed it to my daughters, and we watched it together, and they think it's so cool. Like, I can actually say to them, let's go on a heist. What do you think? Let's go on a heist. Let's take down all 3. We want to take down all 3 of Terry Benedict's casinos? Great movie, but it's not real life.
Imagine like you're Andy Garcia and you get to play that character.
Oh. That's so good.
This is real life stuff we're talking about.
Yeah,
though.
that's right. He'll break your legs. He'll get a couple of his guys to beat the hell out of you for trying to get over on him. So, dark day for the NBA. The FBI cracking down on illegal gambling and arresting 34 people in their investigation this morning, including Chauncey Billups.
And where does the story go? I don't know. And I want to thank the feds for actually putting this, like, not on a Friday. Don't do a Friday news dump. Make sure this is, like, front and center.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And look, how do they address this tonight on BetMGM? I respect the heck out of those guys, but I'm hoping that this gets addressed, that they're not just going to put their head in the sand and talk about South Carolina getting points against Alabama.
Well, here's my hope. My hope is that we all, and don't think that you're going to be able to get over. You can make money, sure. Can you make a career out of it? Probably not. Can you get over? No, not going to happen. You're not going to get over. You could get some wins. You could absolutely get some wins. And those wins are fantastic, a lot of fun. We celebrated when it became legal. But I want to see, I don't want to see it ruin anybody's life. And it certainly has the potential to ruin people's lives if you don't exercise just a little bit of personal accountability.
We got shots coming up in the sports bar, Danger. As interesting setup here we have for the World Series. We will be talking about that. One guy gets hired out in San Francisco. What did the Angels do here? When I tell you the contract that Kurt Suzuki got here, I mean, like, well, maybe Artie Moreno is actually the smartest guy in the room. Lots of hockey stuff here. And, why is there going to be a parade in Buffalo? It's not a championship parade, but it's going to be a Bills-related parade. We'll explain.
Heard about this. We'll get into it. A round of shots on the way. Last call for you at 866-4FAN. You can have the final word in the sports bar at 866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports Bar.
That's a knee injury. One guy back at practice, Larry Ogunjobi.
Being able to get back out here, knock the rust off if there's any, and just, fly around and play. I think that's the most important thing. And, you kind of find the things that you want to fine tune. Obviously, there's nothing like football. You can run around all day, but, actually.
DL getting called back up to Buffalo today. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Bills fans, Odyssey is your home for football. Stay up to date on everything Bills, no matter where you are, with the Odyssey app and the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
All right, welcome back into The Fan in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. It is time for a round of shots, Gino.
So a couple things here about the baseball game, Danger. And, this is a matchup that we didn't have until interleague play began, right? Jays and Dodgers, they first met in the year 2002. Fun fact, the game won by Toronto was a complete game pitched by the late Roy Halladay. Batting leadoff that day for the Dodgers was their current manager, Dave Roberts. Roberts went 0 for 4. ESPN giving Toronto a 40.4% chance of winning this series. Blake Snell going for the Dodgers tomorrow night, and at last check, Toronto has yet to announce their Game 1 start.
ESPN gives Toronto a 40.4% chance of winning this series. I give Toronto a 0.0% chance of winning this series. I'm sorry. Look, I love the Ernie Clement story. I'm rooting for Toronto. I want to be wrong.
You will be wrong. There are countless examples, and all the Jays need to do is split and then get one of 3 in Los Angeles and send it back to Toronto. The Oakland A's in 1990, Danger, heavy favorites, big-time favorites. Cincinnati sweeps the series. The Patriots, double-digit underdogs against the Rams, and then, they won the game outright. But then, wait a second, decades later, the Patriots now with the same quarterback. They're big favorites over the Giants. The Giants and Big Blue win. Countless examples.
Nothing would make me happier than to see the underdog rise up, and you can add another log to the fire, Gino. I just don't see it. I can't see it. These Dodgers are evil. They are possessed. They signed a deal with the devil. I don't know what they did, but this roster is too good. And the Jays could be scrappy. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they get at least one and make it a series. I want a 7.
Talk about the mob. That is not what Italians are about, there.
No.
Right, stop.
No.
Yeah, the Gambino family.
I can tell you, my wife's family in Italy, they sound nothing like that. And by nothing like that, I mean they sound exactly like that. Hey! Oh, hey! Oh! They hey, they're fun.
I think I said this story once on the air, and I can tell you this story because this gentleman is no longer with us. Oh. And when I say I respect the heck out of this guy, and he was like family, so Danger, you add with respect. Yes, sir, I will. And you will honor her. Yes, sir, I will. And if you don't, I have a bullet with your initials on it. And Angela's like, he's not kidding. I'm like, oh my gosh. So there were people still, and this gentleman's no longer.
Yeah. Well, hey, good for Vitello.
81-81, the Giants went last season. San Francisco, meanwhile, the Angels named former catcher Kurt Suzuki as their new manager. Now, I know it's a Francesa, right? We're talking about the Angels. Who cares who's managing that team?
With Francesa.
Oh, who cares?
Hear me out on this one. It should be embarrassing. If you're an Angel fan, if you're not already embarrassed enough.
Oh, boy.
It's a 1-year deal. What new manager? What new head coach? What GM? Who at any level will take a 1-year deal? People are speculating that our owner, Artie Moreno, is so cheap that if this goes into work stoppage danger, you don't have to pay your players, but you still would have to pay your management. That's why it's a 1-year deal.
Oh, so he's telegraphing the pass. He's saying it's going to be a work stoppage. I don't want to have to pay a manager millions of dollars if there's no baseball to be had.
Could you imagine that? Now I'm rooting for Kurt Suzuki. I want to see the Angels win, and I want to see him say, you know what? I'm taking a better job.
That's right.
Adios.
He should. Yeah, he's like an at-will employee here for a year.
It's terrible. Ukapeka Nalukina, as we made this mention in the update. He made his first start in the AHL since November 9th, 2022. Made 21 saves. The Amerks beating Syracuse 4-2. Now UPL going back up to Buffalo, which when we talked to Mike Leone, I was thinking maybe they would give him the whole weekend. You said no. And then Mike Leone was like, I don't know. And, yeah, okay, one game, you're back.
Yeah, you don't want to stay down here very long.
Now, if you've never heard the name Colton Ellis, you're forgiven, okay? Colton Ellis making his first NHL start in goal for Buffalo. We haven't mentioned this at all today. Stopping 27 of 29 shots.
Gino, I was curious, and I couldn't watch the game because I was traveling, but I woke up this morning, and I'm looking at all the scores, and I open up the Sabres, and I look at the box score. I wanted to see who got goals, and I'm like, wait, who's Colton Ellis? What?
Well, so much was happening, and this was first week in the NHL season. The Bills had just lost to the Patriots. Baseball playoffs are going on. We kind of missed this one, right? He was claimed off of waivers off of St. Louis, third-round pick of the Blues in 2019. Buffalo back home tomorrow night. It's the front end of the home and home with the Leafs. But now with UPL going up, is there actually going to be a roster spot for this kid? Do they try to get him back? Does he go back out?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
You've got an overwhelming glut of goaltending now, a logjam of goaltending within the organization, both here in Rochester and in Buffalo. And I guess if you want to believe the competition is going to bring out the greatest in everybody, okay, you've got Lyon and you got this guy now that gets a win in Ellis, getting a win last night against Detroit. When UPL does make his debut for the Sabres this year, you would hope that he'd be on his game because they're showing him through their actions, we can do this without you. Either you're on or you're not, and we can do this without you. Now, the home and home with the Leafs, are these games getting moved around because of the World Series?
So they are. So this was the story from yesterday. You're good to bring this back up. And, again, the original schedule had this game Friday night in Buffalo at 7. I missed it. It got bumped to 7:30. Don't worry about that. It's back to 7 now. This is also Leafs fans can watch a little earlier, so Sabres moving that up a half hour. It's the game on Saturday, went from 7 o'clock to 5 p.m. in Toronto. So this game will be getting out, and I don't think it's quite like Baltimore or Seattle where you have stadiums right next to each other, but it is certainly walking distance.
They're next to each other. I mean, they are walking distance. Not right next door to each other.
Right next to each other.
But you can absolutely walk between those two. And that area of Toronto, when there's a concert going on, is congested. When there's two things going on, yeah, it's going to be full. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, I'm sure.
Yeah, Union Station, old-fashioned train station will be busy then. And we were having this debate with Terrible Take yesterday. He's like, oh, imagine going to both. I'm like, could you really go to both? I don't think I would be able to watch all three periods. I wouldn't want to get to the World Series on time. And even though it's like you
I'm
said,
with Timmy. Challenge accepted. Timmy, what do you got going on Saturday? Let's make it happen, buddy. I'll give up my entire Saturday. Let's go Saturday. We'll watch the Leafs early. I mean, the Leafs aren't an easy ticket to get in Toronto.
No.
And then we'll go to the World Series. I'm sure we'll be able to find tickets for that as well. No problem.
I've got RIT Air Force.
So otherwise you'd be on?
I've got to sit this one out.
Yeah,
and then
you're heartbroken, I can tell.
If there's going to be a Game 7 the following week, haven't done this since 2016, Danger, during the fall, all the wines. So that's going to be the executive producer.
A little wine tour with the executive producer coming up.
So this is not, well, maybe. Do any Finger Lakes wineries have box wine? I'm not so sure, but that's going to be, did not see the Jays making it to the World Series. In the Buffalo South town of East Aurora, there's going to be a parade on November 13th. That's to celebrate
who cares?
The movie that is coming out, Holiday Touchdown, A Bill's Love Story on the Hallmark Channel.
What's the parade for? I wonder, is this a spoiler for the Hallmark Christmas movie? They're filming a parade? Why would they be filming a parade?
No, this is for the VIP premiere. It's going to be at the Aurora Theater, and maybe they'll have an actor or two.
So they're not filming. This isn't a filming. This is an actual parade.
And this is, of course, Binkley texting this to me. This is like, you write your own punchline here, right? About parades in Buffalo.
Is he still playing the Chiefs are being disrespected card?
Of course.
Because I haven't heard anybody disrespecting that team.
I've heard more love for
defense is going to have many answers for the Chiefs offense.
Well, I would say this. And when we talked to Andy Behrens, I'm like nodding my head like, yeah, I would love to see Chris Olave. And if it's not Rashid Shaheed and
not Chris Olave, but rather Maxwell Hairston in time for the Chiefs. I think you drafted him to match up against the Chiefs, and you want to see him in that game against the Chiefs. His practice window is open, and if you're going to see him, that's my prediction. I might be wrong. They might be managing in a completely different way. But I believe you drafted the fastest guy at the Combine to be able to match up against Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, the Kansas City Chiefs, beat speed with speed, Jamar Chase for Cincinnati. I think you need to start seeing the rookie out there, and they're going to want to see him out there. So you won't get the full dessert. You'll just get a little taste, just a little taste, and we'll see Maxwell Hairston make his debut. My prediction: you'll see him make his debut against the Chiefs come a week from Sunday. We've still got another day to go tomorrow. We're going to be live before we get to the weekend. Live from Remedy inside the Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack in Farmington. We invite you to come out and join us. We're going to have a great time. Stimulation overload, unbelievable food. We'll talk about all the action. We'll get you ready for Game 1 of the World Series with our buddy Jim Riley from Ball Cap Sports joining us at 3:25. We'll talk plenty of Bills with Damon Amendola, DA, the Bill Maddock podcast, who stops by the sports bar at 4:25. If you missed Rob Brown from the Fan Upstate and the latest on the Carolina Panthers, you can get that wherever you get your podcasts. Search out the Sports Bar and stand by for the JR Sport Brief next on the Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.